Welcome to Two Luckies,
the podcast,
and our series Dyin,
Cryin,
and
Lyin.
This is a series of us talking about Little House on the Prairie and our take on it as adults.
It is very different as an adult.
Very different. And if you sum this all up, they can fall into one of three categories, either Dyin,
They're crying,
or they're
lying.
So sit back, relax, come take an adventure with us as we reminisce on Little House the Prairie, Dyin,
Cryin,
and
Lyin.
Lyin.
Season 1, Doctor's Lady. The stage comes rumbling in. They show Doc Baker and Mr. Hanson having their regular fight over whether or not the time is correct. Mr. Hanson says that the stage is late, and of course Doc Baker says that it's early. And this is something they do frequently with the two of them. Their clocks never, their timepieces never match. And then we hear a scream, and Charles goes running over he's working at sawing wood across the road, and he comes running over to the stage, and this lady wearing a red costume is on the ground, and Harriet, Mrs. Olsen, is very upset about the driver, and she's complaining about it, and we find out that this is their niece.
Their niece.
Their niece who's coming to visit. They haven't seen her for a very long time. And when she had a tumble, I guess, off the stage, or something happened when she got off the stage, and she hurt her wrist or her hand, and she hurt her ankle. They bring her into Doc Baker, and he finds out that her thumb is dislocated. He hasn't even looked at her ankle yet. He has Mrs. Olsen give a...
Let's not forget when they brought her into the dock, it was Chaz that was carrying her, and what's his comment he had to say?
Yeah, he said Doc Baker was a veterinarian, but he's all we have.
Yeah, way to go, Chaz. And I just want to say, you're still wearing the same shirt. So.
Me and the same shirt. And meanwhile, this is the first time she's injured. She hasn't been to this place, right? I don't think ever.
No.
And then... she comes in and he calls him a veterinarian and he's supposed to be giving her medical care. Then he gets this glass jar of cotton balls, and while he's going to reset her thumb, he visibly pushes it off. So now, not only that, they're all standing around. You have glass flying all over the place while he is resetting her thumb. Like, I really think we could have done it better. Like, it just, I mean... I guess as a kid this made sense, but somehow as an adult it's like, there's like shrapnel of glass flying around this room here. And now he's sent everybody out of the room because a scandalous event is about to happen. Ooh. He is about to look at her ankle. Ooh. And back then, ankles were private matters. You kept your ankles under wraps.
That was a no-no.
No.
All right, we got our very first...
Lyin! Thank you, Mr. Hanson. He's over there telling Doc Baker, are you a member of the Liars Club? Because Doc Baker just said that...
back east, he had to fight the women off of him.
He had to fight the women off because this beautiful woman who just hurt herself coming off the stage had her arm around his shoulders because she hurt her ankle and she needed the assistance because, I mean, I didn't even have crutches back then. So she's trying to hold on to him, but he called him out because he was a lion. Thank you, script writers, and thank you, Mr. Hanson. You knew what it's about. We see the niece or whoever she is, the lady who got hurt, and she's looking hale and hearty in the store in the Olsen's Mercantile. Right. And she's talking to Nels, which we're not sure who she's related to. Like, I'm not sure what side of the family. Is she Harriet's family member or if she's Nels?
They didn't really say.
They didn't really say. But she must be feeling better because she goes for a horse ride and she takes this horse down the hill. And I'm thinking, are they going to be okay? Like, is she going to fall off this horse? And like, she gracefully gets off this horse. She was riding side saddle. And now she is spying because she's peeking out over the hill on the Ingalls farm while Doc Baker is sitting on a very wiggly bench looking thing taking foxtails out of Jack the dog's ears while Laura is trying to assist him. Now Ma informs you're staying for dinner, so he doesn't have a choice.
I expect you to stay for dinner.
And now this girl is like smiling up on this hill. She's wearing a very expensive riding habit, like a riding costume. They used to call it, I think, a habit. And she whips her horse on the butt and sends the horse away, and now she's got a plan. So
let's see what it
she has
is.
a thing for Doc Baker.
We are back, and we have our next case of
Lyin. We
Lyin.
knew she was cooking up something. She sent the horse away. Here she is at the door. I'm not sure if they had dinner yet or they're just about to. They got empty plates sitting there and on the table, and they're getting ready to do something or other. Doc Baker's sitting there, and she says, "My horse threw me," and we know that's a Lyin. Because we just watched you take your riding crop and hit that poor horse on the butt and send it back.
That's 2.
They were on a roll with her dialogue.
Oh, boy.
She told so many lies, we would just be saying lying all the time.
She
because
was
my
rolling.
goodness, she didn't know what weed her horse throw her. She's covered in dirt again. And I'm starting to wonder if she's just a perpetual I get hurt and everybody pampers me kind of thing. Because she even said she needed sympathy. But she has now wheedled herself into dinner. We found out they are just getting dinner ready. So she is right on time. Her plan is working.
She's a little sketchy, if you ask me.
She is a Lyin. Hey, Mary picked up on something. She's she's getting it now. She picked up on the fact that Doc Baker,
Likes the
whoever
niece.
this lady is that's related to the Olsons. I mean, if they said her name, I haven't caught it. But
Well, let's look at the scene. I mean, they go from sitting there having dinner. Now they're up in the loft. Mary and Laura lying in the bed. Mary's staring off at the ceiling, and Laura looks like she's asleep.
well, she's trying to be asleep.
Trying to be asleep while Mary's asking, "Hey, Laura, are you asleep?" Now, right away, if she answers, what's she supposed to say? Yes, that would be a Lyin.
But she says, "Why do you ask me that? Are you asleep? How am I supposed to answer you if I'm asleep?" So it goes back and forth, but Mary figured out that Doc Baker was looking right into that lady's eyes. So he's sweet on her. He loves her, I think she said.
Yeah, she definitely picked up on
But
that.
she picked up on it. In the other episodes, things were flying over her head left and right, but she picked up on a vibe that Laura missed, and usually Laura's the one that's like sharp on this stuff.
True.
Yes.
Now the scene shifts with Doc Baker, given we found out her name is Kay,
At least we think it is.
dropping her off at the Olsen house, where she's given him the 3rd degree about coming into the store and asking about her and didn't he want to see her, and pretty much grills him into admitting, yes, that he's got a thing for her too. And then she asks him if he would take her out riding tomorrow.
Yes, but I want to mention it is full on nighttime dark outside.
black.
I mean, there is. I was actually wondering how they rode around on these roads. There was no electricity, so like you could only see by whatever light they had outside. But this Kay, boy, these scriptwriters love to push this button with her because she was a Lyin. Because Mrs. Olsen comes out frantic. "Where have you been? I was so worried." And she says, "My horse threw me," and we all know that this was a Lyin. You hit that horse on the butt after you just gently got off of the horse yourself, and after you rode it down this hill in a way that I really thought you were going to fall off, and the horse was going to tumble with you. But now she has wheedled her way into Doc Baker's heart, and after she gets a promise from him to go for a drive tomorrow, he had a spring, and he was springing all over the place.
He had a pep in his
He
step.
was jumping up and down. He was slapping his thighs with happiness, and then he rides off into the distance.
blackness.
And there is not a light, a moon, a nothing in sight. And we're wondering how he didn't crash into the building. It was that dark where he was going, and now we're ready to find out. What are they going to do with this? But they like this Kay. She's got the Lyin button she's just sitting on.
Let's see where they're going.
Doc Baker almost needs a doctor himself because he forgot to set the brake on the carriage that he was with this Kate, whatever her name is. And he gets out. She finds a way to bump into him and lean on him because of her fake injury from yesterday. And then they're having a picnic under this big tree, and he is over the moon. Now, Doc Baker is an older gentleman. We want to say late 50s, early 60s. But
Somewhere
who knows?
around there.
People looked older back then. He might have been 32. And then she looks like she's in her 20s, I would say.
Yeah,
but
easily.
they are both sweet on each other, and Doc Baker is smitten. He is smitten with her.
Doc Baker just dropped Kate with a T.
Yes, Kate. We're learning her name as we go along. We're over here like straining to listen for her name.
Just dropped her off at the Olsen house where we have Mrs. Olsen sitting inside, and she is not happy.
She is picking up the same vibe that Mary was tuning into, because she's like, is that man in love with you? And she's very unhappy about the age difference. She's very unhappy about the difference in background. I mean, she calls him a veterinarian.
He's just a small town vet.
Very unflatteringly talking about Doc Baker, and she's trying to dissuade him, and she's very upset about the potential of having to tell her mother that she's fallen in love with a country doctor that's no better than a veterinarian. And Kate, whatever her name is saying,
Kate,
you know, she's old enough to make her own decisions, but like...
And now we just learned that there's a party this Saturday, and Kate wanted to know if Harriet had invited Dr. Baker.
And she said, I invited almost everybody, and she had to like really push as to whether or not Doc Baker was invited, because Harriet is very unhappy with this turn of events, but she does seem to love... I'm wondering if this is her niece.
It kind of seems like it, because she said that she's responsible for her. So
yes, and I'm
kind of thinking that.
Yes,
too.
she was very like, you know, because she said something about my background's the same as your background, and she was saying you could do so much better, but like, oh my goodness, Harriet's upset, but she really likes this Kate, and she was laughing, and they were hugging each other, and that was sweet, that little moment there at the end. Mr. Hansen is over here with Mr. Ingalls. I was thinking, wow, they've remembered the Ingalls here in this episode, and he's missing his friend, because him and Doc Baker, Mr. Hansen and Doc Baker, are good friends. And he's missing his friend, and he's wondering, like, you know, he's going around chasing this young girl, and that Mr. Hansen stopped doing that about 15 years ago, and Charles says, maybe that's your problem.
And by the way, Charles is still in the same shirt.
Yes, he's in the same shirt, and I was trying to figure out what his suspenders were doing here. I think they may be the green suspenders, but he is in that same shirt.
We're at Doc Baker's now, where we have Mr. Hansen and Doc, and looks like they're playing pinochle. And Doc Baker's mind is obviously elsewhere.
He is distracted. He thought a jack was a king. He's been misdealing and all kinds of stuff. And Mr. Hansen is very concerned now about him going after or being enamored with this young woman.
So he brings this up to Doc Baker, and in turn, as Doc Baker's describing his feelings for this lady, we got our first
Cryin. We knew they'd remember. He is over the moon with this girl. He has been thinking about marrying. He's thinking about children, and how in 20 years she'll still be a young woman, and he just trails off. But this is the first time he's felt alive, and he's feeling so alive that he is Cryin. Kate comes up to Doc Baker while he's getting ready to do his rounds in his wagon to go around to his different patients, and she wheedles herself into going with him. He says he'd be very lucky, and as he's sitting over the bedside of a sick child, he gives out a lot of candy. He gave peppermint stick and a bag of peppermint sticks. He's talking to a very pregnant mom of the child in the bed, and she is tuned in with Mary, and she's tuned in with Mrs. Olsen, because she got that zappity zap of a vibe of like, she's a lovely girl, you're lucky. And he tells her, you know, don't go
jump to conclusions.
Jump into conclusions. You were just crying 2 seconds ago about how alive you feel because you're so in love with this girl. And now, you know, he's telling her when
they're getting ready to leave the house, and Kate looks at us. What did she say to you before?
And he says that's like doctor patient something or other, and my lips are sealed. And to which we say that's a Lyin, because your personal relationships have nothing to do with the kid laying sick in the bed or the woman being ready to deliver by the end of the week. We know you're lying because all the women in this town, except for Laura, are on the zippity zap. They know what's going on. You know, Ma hasn't been involved.
Well, Mary's taken over for her.
Yes, Mary's got us. We got it. Thank you, Mary.
Now Doc Baker and Kate have just pulled up to the Ingalls house where he gets out and we see Laura and Ma. And right away he says, "Oh, would you come in?" "No, I just stopped by to drop this off." And he hands Laura a bag of gumdrops.
Gumdrops,
right?
and she takes one out and takes a bite out of it. It is told she has to wait until dinner, and then she puts it back in the bag. She had it in her mouth and puts it back into the bag. And then she says, "Are you going to get married?" Now, first of all, hold on a second.
Laura.
Why is Doc Baker just delivering candy around? Ma was very gracious to invite him because they were just about to eat something or other, and she invited them in. But now, I mean, Laura picked up from Mary about that there's something going on with Doc Baker, and Ma is like, shh, shh, shh. Don't you do that. Don't you be honest. How dare you? You're supposed to be lying. You gotta stay quiet when you know stuff, Laura. Don't you know better than to call out what you see? Now, usually I would say that it's Ma that's Pryin. But this Kate is over here sitting here with Doc Baker, and she is prying with that crowbar from Ma's basket, trying to get Doc Baker to tell her that he loves her because everyone in Hero Township sees it on his face. They probably saw him skipping and jumping around, and now they have this very awkward kiss, and somebody is, I mean, he's trying to avoid it because he knows that the age difference is an issue, and you know, she lives far away and there's a whole thing about it. So he is trying to be an adult and be responsible, but someone is on horseback riding down the hill as fast as they can. Let's see if they're going to give us some action here. He finds out somebody's hurt and they do their signature to get the horses going. He gets this horse, he's got one horse on his cart. He gets this horse going straight to a gallop, and she says, "You didn't ask me." And while they're bumping down this rutted road, he says, "Kate Thornwall," whatever her name is, "will you marry me?" This has been a very odd episode so far, but he's going for it. He's got it going, and she pried the lid off of it now, and she's got him saying, "Will you marry me?" To which she accepted. Doc Baker just awkwardly enters the mercantile, and they're really struggling to find a way to fit the Ingalls into this show. For whatever reason, they keep having strange interactions, but we get there. He comes up behind Doc Baker while he looks like he's looking at a tray of jewelry that's just out unattended on the counter. Nobody's in the store right now except for him and Charles. And we have the Smirkaloo.
Oh,
he's over here smirking like, "I know something you won't say." Like he's over there, he's leaning on the countertop. Smirkaloo.
Smirk away, Chaz.
Smirk away, Chaz, because you have hardly any lines in this episode.
Leave it up to Chaz to be standing in there to bring us our next Lyin with the smirk.
And a little bit of Pryin. He's like, "Oh, I didn't know you were into jewelry," and then starts suggesting cufflinks and women's brooches and then a ring that could be used as an engagement ring. I mean, he was Smirkaloo the whole time with the smirk on his face. And now poor Doc Baker just ended up buying a pair of cufflinks when he really wanted to get
an engagement
ring because Charles had to be over there lying about that he didn't know why Doc Baker was standing in front of the jewelry.
Yeah.
You know, go back in the back room over there, Charles.
Chaz, while you're there, why don't you get yourself a new shirt, huh?
Now, Doc Baker's in his private rooms. We don't normally see him at home.
Right.
We usually see him out and about, or he's at his office, which I think he lives in the building that he does his office work for seeing patients. But he is so bent on having this marriage and whatever. Meanwhile, he asked her to marry him. She said yes, but instead of telling the Olsons, which is kind of a little bit of Lyin. He is now taking out his doctoring tools out of his bag and took some kind of gold chain, and he is going to fashion a ring using the size of his own finger somehow for Kate. So he is like making his own ring because for some reason he can't bring himself to tell Nels that he's going to, it's already done.
Right.
He proposed and she accepted.
Wonder if they know that.
It seems like that's a no.
We're at the party that was mentioned earlier that was supposed to be on Saturday. Now,
They
Doc
have
Baker.
some fancy lanterns out too.
Oh, yes, they do. Doc Baker and Kate are walking outside around the corner where he pulls out and we find out it was his daddy's watch chain.
His daddy's watch chain. He made her a ring. She's all happy about it. And we find out they didn't know anything yet, the family, because she hasn't put it on her finger and says, let's tell them. So now we're back inside.
Ooh, here it comes.
They come inside. And Doc Baker makes a kind of an awkward, shy announcement about how he asked her to marry him. And this must be some party because Charles has on a different shirt, different suspenders, and a different floppy tie than the one that he was wearing when he took Ma on that vacation that was really just a work trip on Ma's holiday.
Let's give a yay, Chaz.
Yay, Chaz!
You finally got that shirt.
Woo! He is stepping up in the world here. He was ready for this party. It was fancy. They're all inside, and everyone seems happy about the announcement. And Mrs. Olsen is the only one who is very upset.
She's got her grump
Nels
on.
is over here clapping, and everyone comes to congratulate them. And now we have Ma and Pa that are laying in bed, and the smirk is smirking. He is smirking over here.
That smirk looks like it's glued on his face.
And she looks like she just sucked a lemon with her eyes closed, but for some reason, they are laying here, and we're about to see what they're going to say about the party.
No sooner did we give Chaz an attaboy and a go Chaz, he's got to come right back in with the smirkaloo and the
Yep, he was chuckling in bed. And Ma's over there asking, are you sure it's right? The age difference between them. And he says, well, if it's all right for him and it's all right for her, then it's simple as that. And then she brings up the fact that, how would you feel, because they have 3 daughters, how would you feel if a man this much older, I mean, he is probably 30
How would you
years
feel
or more
if somebody
older.
older than you wanted to marry one of your daughters? Well, that's ridiculous.
Right, now he's all upset. He got all grouchy about it.
He got grouchy, so I'm going to have to call him out on a
Lyin. Because how is it simple for Doc Baker to be in love with her and her to be in love with him, but when it came to his daughters, it was a whole different ball of wax. We're at Hanson's mill, and the happy couple is looking over the plans for a very large house.
Yes, and it's funny because first Hanson has to bring up the fact that Doc Baker can't hammer a nail without smashing his thumb.
Yeah, was that Charles? I mean, he's taken a beating in this episode, Doc Baker. He's been called a veterinarian. He's been told that he can't pay attention playing card games, and now they're making fun of his hammering skills here.
That's
but he's
Chaz
a doctor.
now. Yeah, so Chaz has to come over and look at these plans and make the same comment about, well, Doc Baker can't hammer a nail without smashing his thumb.
Yeah.
So then Kate that's around is, what time is Caroline expecting us? And what does he say to that?
Yeah, he says, what she asked what time. He says, come early. And I'm thinking to myself, what time is it? What time is
That's not
early?
exactly a time, so yeah, way to go, Chad.
So the happy couple walks away arm in arm, and Charles goes back to work, and Mr. Hanson is looking over, but he's wishing well for his friend, Mr. Hanson, and he hopes that it lasts forever.
Yes.
And I'm wondering what happened to her, because we haven't had any Dyin, and I'm wondering if that's how this episode ends up, because they haven't been pressing that button in a while. Doc Baker and Kate are over at the Ingalls because they had been invited, and he's fishing. Doc Baker is fishing with Charles. They catch a whole bunch of fish. They're coming back, and they see Laura and Mary playing in the yard with Kate Kate's got a ribbon in her hair. She's looking very young, and she's running around with the kids like she's around the same age because she's really not that much older than them. And
Right.
Charles makes a comment about, look at that, your bride-to-be running around like a kid, and now Doc Baker is looking troubled from head to toe.
I think we're getting some choppy water here.
Yes. Doc Baker's over here kicking rocks outside. Everybody else is inside. And he is looking like somebody shot his dog. He's sitting down there. Laura comes out and she's all excited about, she's excited about that he's getting married. He's excited about that he might have children, wants to know how many. And then we find out that Pa was waiting for grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And Doc Baker is just getting more and more depressed about this idea because the age difference is really a big deal. Because if you think about it, let's say he's in his 50s. By the time his child, if he has a child in the next 2 or 3 years, he's going to be like 70-something. And his wife is going to be... in her 40s. So it's really bothering him. But we find out that Charles is just aching for all these children to be coming from his own children. And Laura's like still 8. So
I gotta wonder if he's trying to do this on purpose or do you think he's just clueless? This is Chaz.
Well, it could be a little bit of both.
Doc Baker has returned back to his room and he has definitely got this age thing on his mind. He is looking like somebody shot his dog. And
He
he's
is
staring in
depressed.
the mirror, pulling on his skin. And
Yeah, I mean, he is just dripping with depression. He has gone over the edge. He went from the happiest man in town to the saddest man in town. He went up, he went down, and now we're wondering what they're going to do because we already know after, 9 seasons of watching this show that this is one of those characters that comes and goes for an episode. We see Kate. She's going over to visit Doc Baker with a basket full of chicken. And she's talking about the night before how it was such a lovely carriage ride.
so lovely
But
that
you only said 6 words. So was it really lovely? I'm going to call that Lyin. You knew something was wrong. Why call it lovely? But you had to get that in there. And now we find out that the lady who was very, very pregnant earlier with the 6th child is now in labor. Carolyn is at the ready to assist. And she
That's
says,
what
oh
Chaz
no.
said.
Kate says, I'm about to be a doctor's wife. She's never attended a birth before, but she's getting ready to be assisting. So let's see what happens.
Here we go.
This lady looks like she's in the throes of it. She's ready to give birth to this baby. So it's a rough birth. She really is struggling it. She was struggling so hard that Doc Baker looked like he was pushing with her. He was straining his face, pushing, come on. He's got his face all scrunched up. And we find out with Kate standing there looking very out of place and looking very kind of disoriented that Doc Baker had delivered the parents of this child that was just born. He delivered the mother of the child that was just born and the father of the child that was just born. And now Kate is looking like she is coming to some kind of a realization, but they have yet to let us know what it is.
It's coming though.
Oh, I'm sorry, Doc Baker, but we have our next Cryin. Because they come back from the birth. Doc Baker had been sleeping the entire way. She drove the carriage back home. And he goes on and on about how old he is and how he's as old as her father and his ways are too old.
And I think it finally set in with her now, too, that maybe this is not the best thing.
She still says she thought they would have had a good marriage, but I think they're both realizing that the age difference, I guess, is just too great for them to overcome, and they are both crying. So, we feel bad for Doc Baker, and now we see the Olsons are getting ready to say goodbye to Kate because she was only here for an episode, and now she's going to go back to Chicago and go see her mom.
We're saying goodbye at the stage, which brings us to our next
Cryin.
We've got Mrs. Olson crying. We've got Kate crying.
And we got Doc Baker kind of getting ready to be crying.
And I got to tell you something after all, that I'm a little ashamed of Doc Baker because he wasn't even there to say goodbye to her. He's just staring from his window. And even he was
crying. But he's watching her from the window. I understand that it went poorly and stuff, but you could have at least given her a hug goodbye. And like he didn't do any of that. And then he didn't show up at the Ingalls farm for an entire month, but Pa said, don't worry. And after a month, he was out doing his rounds again. So he needed time to be heartbroken. But I am unsure if I ever saw this episode before in my entire life. The only thing that was familiar was Doc Baker taking foxtails out of Jack's ear. Nothing else in this episode was familiar to me. And I think if it had been on, it would have been another Skipperoonie.
So the episode did bring us our Cryin.
We had Cryin.
It brought us our Lyin.
They were on that really hard in the beginning.
And if we have to say anything was dying, it was their marriage.
Well, it was their hopes for a marriage together or their relationship, yeah. But it was kind of a sad episode. But they still got our categories. The script writers remembered us. They knew that this is Dyin, Cryin, and Lyin. And they brought the Cryin, they brought the Lyin, because we knew they would. And their hopes and dreams, as usual, were a Dyin. And now we are getting ready for the next episode will be...
Next episode is The Plague.
The Plague. We've seen this one.
It's a
coming
doozy.
Up. It is.
And that concludes this episode of Two Lockies.
Two Lockies, the podcast.
And our series, Dyin,
Cryin,
and Lyin.
We release these in threes, so if you enjoyed it, there's more. Go check it out.
Go check them out. We'll see you next time.
We're out.
See ya.
Two Lockies, the podcast.
Two Lockies podcast.
Two Lockies, the podcast.